Hey, Soul Survivors. First, I want to thank you guys for donating, giving super thanks, things like that. I ended up getting a new microphone, so let me know if it's working better. But we're going to talk about the narcissist, a couple examples so we can kind of figure out if our person's narcissistic. Sometimes they might be a person who has narcissistic personality disorder. They could be a psychopath, sociopath, but they have an excessive need for self-importance. So as an example, a narcissist might constantly boast about their achievements and talents. This is a telltale sign that they could possibly be mentally ill, exaggerating their importance in every conversation. They have a lack of empathy. So when a friend is going through a difficult time, a narcissist can often respond with indifference or redirect the conversation back to themselves, showing little concern for their friend's feelings. I've done in a different video where I talked about my narcissistic neighbors, where there was a guy who was talking about when he was shot in the throat, and it was the first time he told his story, and he was almost murdered. And the narcissist wanted to tell his little story, and it was nothing in comparison. And he just had to get his story out, had to focus on himself. He was trying to brag. He was talking about being like choked sexually, got a little freaky, and he passed out. But that's nothing like getting shot and nearly dying. So he didn't even let that person get their story out. And it was the first time that he opened up. He talked for like an hour and a half, but it was a traumatic experience. And being a good friend, you should listen. So they like to manipulate. A narcissistic coworker might manipulate colleagues into doing their work for them by possibly pretending to be overwhelmed, all while taking credits for the results. They have a need for admiration, so they might post dozens of carefully curated selfies on social media, constantly seeking likes, comments, and validation from their followers. And they have a sense of entitlement. So a narcissistic family member might expect to be the center of attention at all the family gatherings and become angry if the spotlight is on someone else. They have jealousy, envy. A narcissistic partner may become resentful and critical when their significant other receives praise or attention for some type of achievement. Instead of celebrating or being proud or happy, they start to get jealous. They're grandiose sometimes. You have your covert and your overt. The covert are a little bit more reserved. The overt are grandiose, very obvious. So a narcissist might believe that they are destined for global fame, also success, despite having no concrete accomplishments to support this belief. They have difficulty in maintaining relationships. Most of the time, narcissistic relationships will fail. A narcissistic friend may have a history of short-lived friendships because they constantly prioritize their own needs and interests over those of their friends. They often cancel plans. They do a lot of future faking. They have a very fragile self-esteem. So a narcissistic coworker may become defensive and lash out when given constructive feedback about their work, interpreting it as a personal attack. Narcissists think in a different way, to where it's almost like reverse, like they always feel on the defense. So it's really hard to even talk to them because they're on the defense. They also do a lot of projection. That's part of the reason for the defensiveness, because they are projecting their insecurities or their faults, their shortcomings onto you. So a narcissistic individual may accuse their partner of being controlling, when in reality, they are the one exerting control in the relationship. They have a selective memory. Sometimes it's on purpose, sometimes it's not. But a narcissist might recount a past event, emphasizing their role in a positive light while conveniently forgetting their own mistakes or misbehavior. They also like to blame shift. They have difficulty accepting responsibility when confronting about their errors, whether it's at work or at home. A narcissistic person may blame the other person or external factors rather than admitting fault. They have a really hard time of taking accountability. They are attention seeking, so they might interrupt those conversations or even engage in disruptive behavior to ensure that all attention is on them. They had this idealization and devaluation in relationships. And this is what is so important, because with the love bombing, the breadcrumbing, the narcissistic cycle, they often discard or at least devalue so much their partners or people in their lives that it becomes almost intolerable. You think you have a friendship or relationship with them, and in the devaluation stage, you want to get back to what you thought was normal, what you crave. And they just want to take. And if you put up any boundaries or say no to them, that they're going to devalue you, because they have a type of relationship where they take. It's transactional. So if you don't give them what they want, they're not going to give anything back. And they will often violate boundaries. So a narcissist, they can often invade other people's personal space, read their private messages, or borrow personal items without permission. And they just disregard boundaries. Everything's about them. And they like to gaslight. They can distort facts, deny previous statements, and make other people doubt their own memory or their perception of reality. This is the crazy making. So if you are thinking, can I stay with a narcissist? Will it work out? If they are not working on themselves, it will literally drive you crazy. It will cause brain damage, confusion, a lot of pain, a lot of loneliness, and silent treatments, ghosting, instability. They have a superiority complex. They often will belittle other people's achievements or expertise. They will dismiss them as inferior or unworthy of respect. You'll hear it a lot of times that they will just cut somebody down out of the blue just to make themselves feel better, or to kind of manipulate the other person into believing that the narcissist is better than other people. They are into their vanity, their appearance, they're obsessed with it. They may spend excessive time and money on their physical appearance, such as frequent cosmetic procedures or constantly checking their reflections in the mirror. Watch when they walk past a store window. Are they checking themselves out? Exploitive behavior. So in a workplace, if you have a narcissistic boss, they may take credit for their employees' ideas or achievements, not even acknowledging the contributions of the people who really did the work. They often engage in emotional manipulation, and a narcissistic friend might use guilt, emotional blackmail. They do deal with blackmail. So be careful if you send any sexy pictures to them. They can often use that against you. And they like to use threats of self-harm to manipulate others into doing what they want. Sometimes they cry wolf about suicide. So you have to be really cautious, because when somebody is in a state of wanting to unalive themselves, there is that 988 phone number. You don't have to be responsible for everybody. They bring it on themselves, and a lot of times they will cry wolf. So just be aware of that. It's a manipulation tactic. And I had a friend who is like a school friend, and her man, she broke up with him. So he threw a little fit, and he went so far as to set himself on fire. And he did that to traumatize her, to try to win her back. And, sometimes they do take it to quite extremes, but they got back together because she felt so sorry for him. But that is extremely unstable. And this time he did it to himself. It could be her next time. I'm not saying he was a narcissist, but that was a manipulation tactic, because he did it right in front of her, sat crisscross Indian style, and poured gas on himself. And he wanted her to either have pain, to feel guilt, and it was all over a breakup, because he wasn't strong enough to realize, that not all relationships work out. And I don't know if they're still together today, but that just shows the instability and insensitivity And I know sometimes people that struggle, you know, they have a lot of sadness, but the way he did it was not cool. So they have a need for control. When they lose control, they can do things like that. A narcissistic parent can exert strict control over their child's life, making decisions for them, even as they grow into adulthood. So not all narcissists will display all of these behaviors or to the severity. Some narcissistic behaviors do overlap with other personalities or mental health conditions, but being with a narcissist can be very traumatizing or dangerous. And the devaluation stage, it's a cycle that always happens. And it continues until they either find a new supply or they ghost you to where you can't take it anymore, where you're trying to communicate, trying to love them, trying to get back to what you guys had before. And it's traumatizing. It causes brain damage, causes you to start to become narcissistic. You're going to start losing good friends, good relationships. You might not be able to even work anymore. You might become so depressed or anxious. So if you have been in a relationship with a narcissist, there are certain telltale signs such as the trauma bond, CPTSD. A lot of times you become codependent, and I'm here to help you through these struggles. It is really difficult to heal, to start seeing things as they truly are, because it's really confusing. Like, did the narcissist ever love me? And they love in a different way, but it's in a toxic way. And it always leads to heartache. Can they change? Are they even willing to? It's so tempting for them to lie. So they might get better until they get stressed. When they get stressed, they're going to go back to who they were, and they're going to take it out on you. If they have to struggle through changing, they might start to resent you for that. Something to think about. One-on-ones are available. Topic requests are welcome, and I'll see you in the next video.